Here's Paul over here. Just told me before I came on that he has a friend named Paul who goes to my church, and he attends the university there, and he's a Norwegian. So Paul's going to come visit us in Norway sometime, maybe next year. I studied at Modesto Adventist Academy, graduated from there, and then that's when I met Larry up at PUC. Graduated from PUC a few years later. We played basketball a lot together. The reason I like basketball, now I like all kinds of sports. I've even learned a new sport called pickleball. I just was in San Diego yesterday. My friend Chester from PUC, he's a retired dentist already, and he showed me the sport of pickleball, which I learned about. The reason I played a lot of basketball when I was your age was because I had a cousin that had gotten recruited to a very famous university here in Southern California. It's called UCLA. Anybody heard of UCLA? Anybody been on the campus at UCLA? All right, some of you might have parents that went there. It's a very famous place. They had a very famous coach, the greatest coach in basketball history in America, named John Wooden. I get a little emotional because I used to know John Wooden because he recruited my cousin to go play basketball at UCLA. My cousin Brad was an incredible basketball player. He averaged 35 points a game in his high school career, his senior year at La Crescenta Valley High. And my whole family thought that, one day he might make it to the NBA. He went to UCLA for 4 years. He still has records in the UCLA Hall of Fame, and they have some of the greatest players in the NBA ever that went to school there. John Wooden was an incredible coach and a player. He was 10 times NCAA champion. He took UCLA to the championship. He was the first man inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Naismith Hall of Fame here in America, 2 times. First as a player, and secondly as a coach. Most people know him as a great coach, but he was a great player as well. All of his players said that he was more of a teacher than he was a coach. So those of you who have teachers here, all of you do, they are your coaches as well. John Wooden would teach lessons to his students, his basketball players, lessons for life rather than just on the basketball floor. I saw coming in this morning, there's a picture just above your entrance here, a young man who passed away a few years ago, and he met a great player from UCLA named Bill Walton. He also was an NBA champion. But I wanted to tell you about my cousin Brad because he played at UCLA. He used to live just around the corner from Glendale Adventist Academy, where I just visited the other day. And Brad was going to UCLA when he lived there on Chevy Chase Drive. But he got drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers in 1980 when I was still in academy. And I remember our whole family was really excited that he was going to play in the NBA. But none of us realized that he was preparing through all of his connections, got drafted by the Lakers, and that they would then go on to win the NBA championship, the very first year he played in the NBA. I've met some incredible players throughout my life, and I'm going to tell you some stories about them. But I wanted to tell you about John Wooden and what he taught me. Just like you are sitting in the stands right now, John Wooden, at the age of, I think he was 70-something, 75 maybe, I went to his summer camp when I was a senior in high school in the academy in Modesto. And he told all of us, sitting there just like you are, there must have been 500 boys that had been selected throughout America. They came from all over. They came from Florida, New York, Texas, Oklahoma, all over the country. There were probably guys from every single state in America, even Hawaii. And he told us all to just take our shoes off and our socks. And we did that. We did what Coach Wooden said because we knew he was a great champion, 10 times winning the national championship in America. So we knew that what he was going to tell us was very important. And I noticed already this morning that you guys are great listeners. That's one of the qualities you're going to want to have through life. So as we took our shoes and socks off, Coach Wooden told us how to put the socks on so that we wouldn't have any wrinkles. We didn't want to have any blisters on our feet. We wanted to prepare for success on the basketball court. So he taught us how to put the socks on, make sure they're all the way up, and then put them in the shoes, make sure that the shoe fits well, and then he taught us how to tie our shoes as well. So I've taught a lot of kids since then how to tie their shoes as well. I was talking to your teacher Paul this morning just briefly. He's a history teacher. I love history, and that's what I'm here to tell you about today, some of the connections that I've made. Right now, your principal, Larry, Rich, told you that you have some connections among yourselves, but there are things that you don't even realize right now how you are connected, how we are connected. You don't even know me. You just met me right now. But there are connections that we have that will amaze you. Connections are critical for our success. No matter what we do in life, no matter what we choose, those things will one day come about in our lives. Whether you make a choice right now to not drink or to smoke, that's going to help you later in life. You might have friends one day that say, try this or try that, but if you decide in your heart, no, I don't need to do that, you can be confident in yourself that you're going to stay a winner, and you're going to make mistakes too, like we all do. But keeping that faith in yourself that you are a child of God and God has great plans for you. So, make connections. That's the first thing I wanted to tell you. What you are learning right now in this very school, from all of your teachers, from your other students, because you're learning from each other right now, actually. In fact, your teachers can present things to you, but what you learn in and among yourselves are connections that you will have much later in life. I want to tell you a story about the power of memory and how to remember things and why remembering things is important. In the 2012 Olympic Games in London, first of all, I need to tell you that I started in the Los Angeles Olympic Games back in 1984, long time ago. And I got that job because of a connection with my cousin Brad. He knew a lot of people in Los Angeles. He was an NBA champion. He knew Magic Johnson. He knew Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, two of the greatest players ever to play the game. And through the job of getting a job in the Olympic Games, I wanted to work in the basketball because I knew people like Michael Jordan were going to be playing for Team USA in that event. So, but the story I want to tell you is about a famous American. You all know who he is. He plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. His name is LeBron James. All right. So I was in London, and I don't know if any of you have ever been over to London. Any of you traveled over to England? Really? We got a few. Good. And you know, when you go to England, they talk like that. They talk a bit like that. They speak a little different English than we do. And so I'm in the Olympic Games with my friends. I don't have any job at that time. I'm just there to be enjoying the Olympics. And a lot of, I don't know if any of you have noticed, I'm wearing a pin right here. I'm going to tell you about this pin in a minute. It's a little white tiger from Korea that I got when I went to Korea. I love Korea, by the way. I'll tell you a story about Korea too in a minute. But I'm at the Olympics with my friends, and we're trying to collect pins. The pins are what you wear on your jacket. A lot of the athletes have them. They carry them in their shoulder bags. They like to trade them themselves. Sometimes we meet American athletes. They get bagfuls. They get like 100 pins, the American athletes, because we're a wealthy country. I've met people from places like Afghanistan and Pakistan. Some of those countries, they don't get anything. The athletes have nothing to trade with the other athletes. So the American athletes are always wealthy in pins. But I'm trying to collect all the different countries, and after 17 Olympic Games, I have, I don't know, probably 5,000 pins in my collection. And a lot of them are from the different countries. I love to collect the different countries. So I'm out there trading pins with my friends. We're just outside the Olympic Village, which has 3 levels of security you have to go through to get into the village. You have to have a credential, an accreditation that allows you to go in. When you guys go into school here, you got to go through security, sort of. They have to check and make sure everybody's safe, right? So at the Olympics, they're very safe. They have 3 levels of security. So I'm out in front trading pins with my friends, and my friend Louis from Anaheim, he was at the '84 Olympics too. I didn't meet him till later, but one of my good friends, and I said, I was trading, and he says, Jeff, it's LeBron. And I thought, what? And I see 4 guys walking down the street like 4 shadows, and I just threw my pins in the bag and I start walking. And I go up to LeBron and I say, hey, LeBron, how you doing? He gives me a fist bump. He's big. He's huge. He's a giant. And I'm only 6'1", but LeBron is up here to me. He's bigger than life. But he doesn't look at me very much. And I said, my son Jordan is a big fan of yours. My son lives in Norway. And he looks up to you, and he wants to make it to the NBA one day. And LeBron, he says, we can't stop to take a picture or anything, but he said, we can walk and talk. So we keep walking. And he doesn't really look at me because LeBron's a busy guy. And I said to him, you know, he wants to make it to the NBA. And LeBron James tells me he will. And I understood in that, the 2 words that he said, to me, said that if he works hard, because I know all about LeBron and how much he's worked hard. He came from poverty, and he, you know, kept working, never gave up. All the elements of success LeBron James has had to go through, just like all of you will have to go through. But he never gave up, and I think that was his message to me, just that he will. It was very positive. It was very exciting. And I thought, if my son would ever make it to the NBA, boy, that would be cool. But then I said, my cousin Brad was already an NBA champion. And that's when LeBron stopped, and he looked at me and he said, who's your cousin? And I said, Brad Holland. And I was going to tell him the story about my cousin becoming an NBA champion, but LeBron James told me, your cousin Brad played on the 1980 Los Angeles Lakers championship team together with Magic and Kareem. That just blew me away. And 2 nights ago, when I was eating dinner with my cousin Brad and his family, he was blown away by LeBron's memory. And that's when I said to LeBron, I said, man, you know your history. And he said, that's my business. That's how LeBron said it. That's my business. So that was incredible. That was an incredible connection. It lasted only a minute or so, and then LeBron was on his way, and I was on my way, but that was an incredible, I get excited just telling that story. So the connections that you make in life, they're going to inspire you for other things. So make connections. It might not be LeBron James. It might be one of your teachers today. It might be one of your friends that you're sitting right next to right now. Back in 1983, when I was a little bit older than you, I think I was a sophomore in college at PUC when I went to school with Larry. And I told my mom, I said, Mom and Dad, the Olympics are coming to Los Angeles. We live in, you know, we're only 6 hours away from Los Angeles. My cousin Brad lives down here. Can't we figure out a way to get to the Olympics? And my mom just said simply, you're just going to have to call Brad and ask him if he knows people, and you just have to get a job down there. We won't have money to go to the Olympics. And it was like a